Next up is Bounce Imaging. 3 minutes on the clock. 3, 2, go.
Sure. Hi, thank you for the opportunity. At Bounce Imaging, we use 360 VR video to save lives. So a couple of years ago, one of the teams we work with in New England had an officer searching a house. As he went up into the attic, a suspect stepped out of the shadows, shot him 3 times. And first responders go into these kind of dangerous environments, whether they're police or search and rescue workers or industrial safety, every day. Things that seem mundane, but can have them hurt and can have civilians hurt on the other side. And you might think, well, I see CSI and there's robots and drones and all sorts of cool stuff, but the reality is they're too expensive, they're too hard to use, and they always have a limited field of view. So you only get part of the story of what's going on.
The dangers that we face are we're going into kind of the unknown.
You've got somebody in a room, you don't know who it is, you don't know numbers, you don't know if they're armed, you don't know if there are innocents in that room.
When you enter that structure, you have to read and react, figure out where the suspect could be hiding, and all that happens within seconds.
I've got 42 years in law enforcement. I've learned that the real safety component for a police officer is knowing what they're going to get into before they get there.
Police, open up!
I mean, how do you do that? Well, this thing gives you that opportunity.
All right, so what we have is a 360 camera. You can toss through a window, down into a collapsed structure, get an instant view in all directions of what's going on. This is what you see once you throw it in. It's stabilized, so even while it's rolling, it points in the right direction. It points up as it goes along. I think it's a pretty big market. In the US alone, about $5 billion. And unlike you'll often see, like, well, we can be in all these markets. We actually have customers in each of those verticals, and among the most elite in those groups. We have paying customers all over the US, all over the world, across a range of different disciplines. And we're moving forward. So this is our law enforcement version. We already have deployed a search and rescue unit with FEMA. We're integrating 4G with Verizon so that this thing gets unlimited range. We're working on robots that you can steer just by looking left and right as you go down the road. So there's a lot of cool ways that you can take omnidirectional video to make a difference in people's lives. So what are we looking for? We're looking for investors to come into our current round, and we're looking for introductions to your local first responders. Thanks for your time.
OK, well done. Feedback from our esteemed judges.
Is there any limitation to selling into these sorts of departments, or no?
I'm sorry.
Is there any limitation to selling into these sorts of departments? Any guidelines, rules? That looks pretty indestructible. I mean, I imagine they've got some sort of guidelines that they will or will not take product from civilians. Yeah,
there's certain things that they won't, like there's certain states in which we weren't allowed to record audio because of wiretyping laws, things like that. But generally, because it's officer safety or search and rescue, there's no restrictions. And when it's law enforcement context, sometimes they can't record audio. But in officer safety, there's basically no restrictions.
Right.
Can it record, if that was the wiretapping law, could it record audio, encrypt it, lock it, and then only unlock it if a judge gives permission?
Not that, but you can basically stream it so you can hear it in an officer safety context, but not record it, or any combination of those.
Got it.
And it's weird laws. It varies by state. It's actually quite
more feedback, judges.
Atomized.
So it reminds me of Sphero a little, but I guess from the demo that it doesn't actually move. Is that something you're thinking about in the future?
We do. So we've tried to limit how much the operator. These guys are under, and they're usually guys. There are women actually, but these folks are under a lot of stress, and so we're trying to limit how much they have to do. So we want something that they can throw and then go back to their normal job. When we're looking at robots, we're looking only where they have to have no interaction. Basically, look to the left and have it go to the left. The way they do move it is they put a rope on it, which is kind of low tech, and then they'll bring it back, or they'll put it on a pole and lift it up into an attic.
I'm just imagining aiming, throwing a sphere in a stressful situation could be difficult.
They're actually really good at it because they have to throw other things in, like gas grenades and things, and so they can actually put it like on that X.
Nice.
Yeah.
They could also have 2 or 3 of them, I suppose.
Yep.
What's the cost?
They're $3,000, so about a third of what they'd spend on a pole cam.
More comments?
What's the sales cycle like? to police departments? Is that?
It depends. For smaller purchases, we're under their credit card limit usually, so they can do it in a couple of weeks. When we're doing a longer proposal, it can be a couple of months. The good thing about government is that they're required to pay within 30 days, so they're actually pretty good about paying.
And then any concerns about throwing it and it gets stuck in a corner or in a position where it's not very helpful? And
so as this thing goes through the space, as it rolls down, it stabilizes. So you have a full recording of the trajectory in. So even if, in the worst case, it like ends up going behind that curtain, you can go back in time and look left and right. So you can roll this down a corridor and clear all the rooms on the way. So yeah, even in the worst case where it gets lost, you've got all the information that gives you the layout, how many people are there, if anyone's hurt, and so you can get at least that minimum information.
It does.
What's that?
Has it been used in a real-world situation yet?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Tell us your best story.
Oh, it'd be a little bit long, but basically.
Give us the abridged version.
Yeah. There was a guy up in an attic who ended up kicking a dog, and they were able to show that the dog was only defending itself when the guy was attacking it.
So that was
even though it was in one corner looking in one direction, they were able to back up, look in the other way, and see that the guy was kicking the dog in the face. Basically.
So how does it maneuver in an attic where there's insulation and studs, or how does it go upstairs, or how does it go over terrain that's difficult?
So it's super sophisticated. They go to Walmart and they buy a painter's pole and they prop it up, and that gives them the 360 view of the space, and that gets them over the coverage. It honestly ends up being really simple things that give you that extra couple of seconds of information that one that lets you de-escalate a situation to make it not a confrontation, and two, takes away the advantage from someone that might hurt you.
Nico.
Yeah, I was only being facetious, but I didn't mean to be sarcastic.
So yeah. How did you get into this world? It's not the sexiest or the most intuitive one.
Because of that. So we were at the Harvard Innovation Lab, and we were looking at why first responder technology was overpriced and sucked, and why it took so long to find victims in collapsed structures. And so that's what motivated us to make low-cost, high-tech stuff that saves lives.
On the roadmap, you must have countermeasures built into the device. For example, if bad guy picks it up, it should have knockout spray, pepper spray, and should spray that permanent ink like the packets in the banknotes have. What have been the requests? What's on the roadmap in terms of countermeasures?
So we try not to, particularly because of sort of legal things, we try not to have anything harmful come out of it. We do look at making sound and lights. The other thing is that in these situations, if someone's going to look at this or shoot this or go after this, they're looking here and they're not looking at a door.
Yeah.
So that's
I think they're going to come pick it up, and that would be the perfect time to shoot 50,000 volts into their body. You got to think a little bigger. I think you're too concerned about laws and not concerned enough about, reinterpreting them as we do here in the Valley.
We're trying to minimize harm to the best of our ability.
Voltage, whatever it is.
Pepper spray is not dangerous. Just shoot the pepper spray.
Yeah, exactly. All right. Big round of applause.
Thank you.